Hey everybody, today is Valentine's Day, February 14th. I'm Gene and welcome to the Wednesday show of Hanging with Uncle. A couple of things on my mind right now. We had a celebration. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and, some dumbasses decided it'd be a good idea to start shooting. I don't know why. And also, right now in DC, the police have some kind of high alert situation. I want to say an area cordoned off for some high security reasons. And I know the Pentagon is trying to meet with the Gang of Eight. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. So, pay attention. And before we get started, please hit that subscribe button. We're trying to reach 1,000 followers. And hit that like button. It lets the rest of the world know we exist out there. And that little bell on the right hand side, that's the notification bell. Click that so you'll know whenever we go live and put new content out there. So there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. Number one, the special election. I told you I was going to be following that, the one to fill George Santos' seat once he was expelled from Congress. And I want to talk about Alejandro Mayorkas. But we can't do that unless we have our man on the street with us. Brent, welcome to the show.
For having me, Gene. Yeah, there is a bunch of crazy events all coming together right now. It seems like the tension is, kind of spreading. There's just uncertainty everywhere with, people getting falsely accused of crimes.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's definitely a lot to talk about, man.
There are
I mean,
so
I'm.
yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring up and get your thoughts on the special election, right? So, in 2020, Biden won that congressional district by 8 points, and then 2 years later, the fraudster Santos flipped that seat and won it by 8 points. And last night, Tom Swazi won that district by double digits again. So I think the messaging that he was putting out and the lack of messaging by his opponent, Mazi Phillip, really demonstrated where the people stand, what the message is. And I don't know if you're aware of her inconsistencies, Brent, but last night's special election really shone the light on what's going on and why the GOP is just incapable of governing. Go ahead. What do you think?
So last night, who won again? I'm at a Democrat.
Yes, Democrats
A
flipped the seat.
Democrat came back in and took the seat over, which was kind of the way it looked like it was leaning. I just wasn't sure if that was the result or not. Um, that I mean, how it was set up with Santos. I can't believe that guy got elected.
You
I
know,
mean, if there's any type of district that you would think wouldn't know which way to vote, it would probably be that district. It looked like a Democrat was going to win, and I'm glad a Democrat won. But it's such a crazy, volatile place. There's big swings in that district, and uh, right now, I guess it's trending towards not as crazy, I guess.
well, to me, my takeaway from the results were number one, can you believe it? Border security. It's something that Republicans have been screaming about. They would not do any aid to Ukraine or any of our other allies who are fighting against communist aggression until the border issue was brought up. So they attached a border bill. Republicans killed it. And Mazi Phillip has nothing to stand up there and say except we need to do something on the border instead of criticizing the current GOP led House for doing nothing on the issue. And Tom Swazi, the Democrat, embrace the issue. Yes, we do need to do something on the border. I support what they're doing. If I was in Congress, I would vote yes for this bill. And that was one of the big you know takeaways from that. It's like people are sick of lip service. They want results. They want action. And Swazi supported the action that's being taken or the proposed plan, and his opponent did not.
Seemed like he understood the sentiment in his district, but it's a sentiment that's been growing nationally for a while. It seems like the Republicans are going to eat a lot of bad press from what Trump's saying about how you shouldn't have any type of border deal. How he keeps on reiterating basically that he's not going to work with anybody on this.
So let me
And
ask
when
you
you
a
look
question.
at it, huh?
Let me ask you a question, because we know that Greg Abbott from Texas and Ron DeSantis from Florida have been shipping immigrants to New York City. What do you think the impact on having all those immigrants forced on your doorstep and a party that's refusing to do anything about the issue? How do you think that resounded with people's decision to vote?
I'm sure, this nationalism or what they call like protectionism kind of sweeps over the country. I mean, Texas knows exactly what they're going to do by shipping those people there. I mean, the whole point is for them to go ahead and like cause like division. They like know that this is going to be a lightning rod with people coming into areas where it's already cash strapped, and so he understands that there's going to be press from this. He's going to be looking favorable, but I think as a whole, just because Texas is looking good doesn't mean the rest of the Republicans are looking good for this. It looks like they're basically trying to ignite a civil war. I mean, if they really wanted to keep people out, they would have got a deal done back in 2020. What it seems like they're doing is they're trying to create a problem. And believe me, this is what they want. This is creating a problem.
So remember, when Cadet Bonespurs was elected in 16, the first 2 years of his presidency, he had control of the legislative branch of government because Mitch McConnell was the Senate Majority Leader and Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House. You had total Republican control. You were always screaming about immigration and doing something and build the wall, and you could get nothing accomplished on the issue. So, in my opinion, what makes people think that the right side of the aisle is capable of doing anything when it comes to securing our borders?
He understood by creating this problem with the border how it's going to make, no matter what, it's going to make the current president look bad by creating this problem. And basically he started feeding the fire right as he was getting out of office to make it harder for him to have executive actions or any type of control over the border. If you look at how it was all labeled and how it came out, the laws were set up and his executive actions by Trump made it difficult for the next administration to come in and get any type of work done on it. And they knew this was going to be a problem.
If you're talking about Title 42, Biden had that remain in effect for 2 years until the CDC determined COVID-19 was no longer a pandemic issue. And that's the reason Title 42 was, no longer in effect. But so again, I just think the hypocrisy is really under a spotlight now. And this impeachment they did of the Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, again, based on nothing, there's no crime or misdemeanor. They're just accusing him of failing to secure the border when they're the ones standing in the way and blocking any type of border security legislation. So, yeah, it sounds to me like they're impeaching him for their failure to do something. And, I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, it's going against some of the tenets of what the Republican Party stood for, basically, with security. How Homeland Security was created. I think it was created underneath the Bush administration, I believe.
Yep, it was after 9/11.
So, I mean, for them to be knocking the organization that they created, and then it just kind of gets to the point where, I mean, there's a lot of finger pointing going on here. I mean, there's some states like the state of Alaska. It's actually a Republican-controlled state. They just did a bipartisan deal trying to expand on the Department of Homeland Security. They're so happy with it. I mean, even though I think Dunleavy said something like, oh, there's certain tenets we like about it, but, this is a win for Alaska. Then, like, Patola was all over that. They're going to expand on the imprint for the teaching imprint there. So there's states that are actively supporting the mission of the Department of Homeland Security. So this is kind of funny that they're leading the charge on this. It seems like they won't be getting total party unification on this. It's
Brett,
it's nonsense.
It's
craziness.
Where you're going. Let me ask you another question, okay? So the special election last night exposed the flaw that the GOP is full of shit, that they don't want to do anything to so-called strengthen our borders, and Democrats ran on it and won. Now we know it's going to be pretty much part of the narrative up and down the ballot for anybody running for Senate or the House of Representatives in November. How well do you think this message will be received across the country as it was last night in the special election?
It'll translate too much further. It might just be a hiccup because of Santos and what he pulled. There's so much resentment against him. I don't know if this whole border thing, how it's going to shake out or not yet. I don't know if this is going to be the rallying cry for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I think it's so hard to tell that it might be a moot point with it.
So
I think this is, I know that you're hopeful that this is going to be, like the way it's going to be like a forecaster for it, and it could be. It could be, but it looks more like a hiccup. I mean, more like a pushback on Santos because it's such a like nut job.
Well, I think to me the bigger picture, because remember, we should not just worry about elections every 4 years. It's every 2 years, because we vote for every 435 members of the House of Representatives every 2 years. That is the branch of government closest to the people, because that's how often we are supposed to connect with those representatives that represent us in Washington. So I think that that message will trickle down all the way to all 435 congressional races that they will beat Republicans over the head with on their hypocrisy on this issue. And I am predicting a blue wave in the House, and I'm also predicting that the Democrats maintain control of the Senate. That's my prediction, and I'm just using last night again as a yardstick because I'm already hearing conversations from other congressmen about this issue.
I mean, you know what? When I look at it is like I said, like the district itself is so batty where they had these big swings, 8% towards Democrats and 12% towards Republicans, and now, whatever percentage back towards the, Democrats. There's these big ass swings in that district.
It's on the issue. And don't forget, in 2020, just 4 years ago, we had redistricting because of the census. Every 10 years, we do redistricting of the congressional maps.
Yeah, so they were talking about redistricting that, but I think it got done before Santos in that district. I'm not sure, but
Santos got elected in 22. So, yeah, the lines had already been drawn when he ran.
Yeah, so if you have these wild swings, it means that you probably should be doing your due diligence, checking who your voters are instead of it seems like more of these wild swings happen in districts that people aren't really up on the politics. I would think.
That's
it would
why...
think that you're going with your gut instinct. You're probably not even paying attention. You start watching it 2 months before an election cycle, and they know it. They start doing all this heavy advertising, and all of a sudden, you vote for this guy because he's the most popular guy in donations that cycle or whatever.
To me,
so I mean, you should.
The person, and this is just a side note, when I hear the candidate that's raised the most money, I'm thinking the candidate that's most beholden to the donors. And that's why that's a turn off for me.
It's a turn off for me too. I mean, so the guy that's constantly getting knocked by all the different candidates, and you should watch this guy. This guy is probably going to be getting slammed in the primary. There'll be one guy that the establishment is picking on.
And that's the
you
guy
should
that
probably
we
look
should
at that
for.
guy. Yeah, that's the guy you probably want to vote for.
Yeah.
You want to take a look at that guy and figure out why is he so different that they're afraid of him. So
because
it
challenges their team.
You just got to start paying. It's really hard to know who to trust and who to go in and vote for, and then what news source now to trust. Every news program says we're your trusted news source or news team and blah blah blah, and really when it comes down to it, it's it's so party centric that you should watch different programs in your district. You should see what the Democrats are selling, what the Republicans are selling, and think of it that way. Think of it that way, that they're trying to sell it to you too. Watch it all.
And
absorb it all, because if you're getting your information from one source, that's only trusted. And that's not a trusted news. That's a trusted opinion of one news source. It should be
being willfully misinformed, because that's just studying one side of the coin, knowing there's another side, but you only want to look at the one. So again, for all those people listening, how do you determine the candidate? Go to your Secretary of State's website. They will list all the candidates in your jurisdiction that are running for office. Each candidate has a website. Don't listen to the news. Don't listen to a party. Do your research. See what that candidate stands for. And look at the issues. Don't vote for a party. Look at the issues. That's why I'm registered no party preference. That's what I pay attention to. And how do I get my news source? I'm different. I have a law degree, so I know the law. So when I listen to Fox News and Newsmax and I hear them lying, it's hard for me to sit and swallow that because I know the truth and I know they're lying to me. If I turn on CNN, they're boring. It's like in a cure for insomnia, you know. But you know, you got to watch it all. Personally, again, I watch C-SPAN. That is where these guys go on the floor of the House and Senate and either tell the truth or lie. And it's too easy to figure out. So the incumbents are the ones I look at the most because you can actually look and see how they voted on an issue. For example, oh, I'm pro-choice, definitely pro-choice. But when it came down to the floor, how did you vote on it? So the incumbents get scrutinized the most, in my opinion. Brent?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're the target, you know. They're you know, how it's set up, how they're voting every 2 years. You would think that you would get you know, a big changeover constantly of new ideals and things coming in, but really you don't hear too much of that. You don't.
Every 2 years, look and see how big the freshman class is. That's how often those seats change hands.
Wouldn't you think they would have you would have a more of a voice, of a different voice? I mean, it seems like they get taught so quickly to get into partisan politics that they never develop their own little voice of who they are, you know, and that's an unfortunate thing is there's so many of them that the only people that really stand out are the crazies.
You know, that's why even both sides have their teams, and they're there to protect their team. That's why you saw what happened to Bernie when he ran against Hillary. You see right now, even though I support Joe Biden, I like what he's done as president. I don't look at his age as a disqualification. That's age discrimination. I don't believe in that. But you have other candidates running. Why don't you give them some airtime too, Democratic Party? They're running as Democrats. No, you want to not have that. You only want to give one person the platform and you want to shove Joe Biden down our throats. When in reality, you know, it's us, the voters, that should be picking our candidate. So let us make the decision. If he really is the right person, put the other two candidates on stage and let us make our decision. And that, again, is why I'm not part of any party, because they play that team game.
Yeah, no, that's, you know, and it's really hard for, I mean, it's like hard for people that follow politics to understand, you know, kind of the changing of the guard. It seems like it's going on right now, where the whole ideal, I think, between what a liberal and a Democrat and Republican, a conservative, and all this is kind of up in the air right now. You know, really.
That's why we got to look at the candidates in our jurisdiction and not listen to who they tell us who our candidate is. We pick our electors. They don't pick us. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I wonder how you know how energized the young base was in that special election. I'll be looking at those demographic numbers too, just to see if the younger base was energized, or they're starting to go, "Hey, this shit show is too much to handle." You know, if they're gonna stop getting engagement, like I think last presidential cycle, they got great engagement from the younger generation, but This one I know in the 2022, the in between, it dropped down.
There's
So
always a drop in the midterm.
of
That's just
course,
historically the way things go. Like I said, I don't agree with it because every 2 years we have the opportunity to put the legislators in the House that will actually vote for the bills that we want. Because I want somebody in there that's going to be pro sensible gun reform. I want somebody in there that's going to be pro veterans and national security and creating a living wage. And, there's universal health care. Those are the issues that are important to me. Because not that I want them for me, I have all those things, but everybody else should have that quality of life and have that dignity. And that's where I look at the issues and not a party.
well, I think the Taylor Swift fans out there are going to want to know what the heck just happened there at the Super Bowl parade.
You know,
So I think they would probably want to have the Department of Homeland Security guy in there doing his due diligence, checking out to see what the threat was.
yeah,
You
I'm
know,
sure there'll be more on the
they're
news about that tonight.
there was. I mean, I remember reading there was a threat where her private security team got warned not to be at the event. That there was likelihood of something was going to happen. I think I read that yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny. Well, not funny, but it's unfortunate how it happened. But I wonder how much of that incident today happened because of that craziness with, the Taylor Swift reaction.
Well,
Like if these people, what was the reason why they were shot up? Was it, they're not really saying that much about it, so I'll be looking at that.
all I can say, Brent, is look at the lack of mental stability of the morons that bought into the lie and went to the Capitol on January 6, 2021. You're going to have those stupid people that will believe this ignorant crap.
Ugh, just crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yep.
Well,
That's all the time we have for today. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to promote, Brent?
no, man. I think that's about it. There
Okay.
should be a big story coming out in the next couple of days, hopefully, and we'll talk more about it as it comes out.
All right. I look forward to it. I'm Gene. This has been Hanging with Uncle. Thank you for joining us, and remember to be kind to one another. Treat each other the way you want to be treated. Zane and I look forward to seeing you on Friday.